Welcome to Gaia's Love, a podcast of brief messages to help humanity bridge the gap to the new earth. My name is Vivienne Gerard. It is my delight to be a scribe for consciousness today, sharing the wisdom that flows through from Source. Here we go. Episode 150. 150. I love when we hit these round numbers. It's just so fun for me. It is Wednesday here in Cincinnati, very chilly, sunny and beautiful, a little bit of snow still on the ground, but we are definitely still in winter, and most of the conversations that people are having right now are, when is spring arriving? When will it be warm? When can we take off all these layers of sweaters and jackets and boots? It may still be a little bit. Okay, episode 150. So lots moving. Where do we start? Let's start with what's astrologically happening. So today is a new moon in Pisces. The new moon is, for me, a really powerful time of awareness and energy moving and momentum. I host new moon circles, and that's my favorite time to gather people together. So I bring all of that energy into this podcast episode today. It is a time to find some stillness, to create pockets or moments where you can bring all of your energy into yourself and be really focused and steady and daydream, night dream, create, sit with your knowing, your intuition, your inner guidance, and imagine you can look out at this immense night sky and see all the stars that exist that normally are hidden because of the light of the moon. And then just imagine, like, what would your stars look like if you could create a pattern or a grid, or if you could allow yourself to see the astrological guidance that the stars are bringing you? What would you know? What would you experience? How would it change what you're going to do next? What I always find is when I connect to the vastness of a night sky filled with stars, I feel like the possibilities just multiply and expand. And there's this greater sense of freedom to create, freedom to express, freedom to be bigger, to be bolder, to be more beautiful, to be more fun, whatever it is for you, freedom to expand. And that's what the new moon offers, tapping into infinite possibilities, infinite potential, and allowing that to guide us in our physical human actions. The new moon in Pisces is like taking all of that and then ramping it up times 1,000 or 1,000,000. Pisces is the dreamer, the mystic, the one who sees so much and doesn't always know how to translate it, who feels so much and doesn't always know how to express it. So if you tap into that level of universal connection and align it with a new moon, which is about infinite possibilities, you can sense just how magical this time is right now. Add to that all the other planetary stuff that astrologers are just so excited about right now, and there is a lot of opportunity to really dramatically direct the course of your life. I was saying this to my husband the other day, it's like the Titanic, we're kind of turning the Titanic. He's like, that's a terrible example because the Titanic sank. What if they had turned it just ever so slightly and it had missed the iceberg and it just kept sailing, and it became this iconic, beautiful example of more ships being built without all the disaster? That's the possibility that's available to us right now as souls in human bodies. Shift your direction. Align with these incredible possibilities available to us astrologically, which means energetically. shift course, trust the new grid that you see opening up, and change your direction and go in the ways that delight you, that thrill you. Follow the passionate path, the one that lights you up when you think about it. Be really bold and brave and change direction just a little bit. It's funny, as I'm doing that, my whole body's kind of leaning to the left. And left is intuitive, knowing, receiving side of our human body. So just go to the left a little bit. So that's the new moon in Pisces. I am creating a meditation right after this, which I will share on my website and social media that you can exchange. It's $11 for the meditation, which is an angel number of love. And so that can offer you some specific guidance, because I use visualization in my meditations. If you are looking for some next steps, like how do I do this? I'll have that available later. But you can also completely do this on your own and trust the way that you're guided, and then follow the direction your path is taking you, because it may surprise you. It may be a course correction, and trust it. Okay, new moon in Pisces. For me, it's an exciting time. I expanded my broadcast system, my channel, yesterday by adding Spotify as one of the channels through which you can listen to this podcast. So I welcome any Spotify listeners that are just starting to tune in. It's so exciting because most of the music I listen to is on Spotify. So I feel like I'm bringing this beautiful podcast and landing it in a space that's so familiar and comfortable to me. It's where I hang out, and so I'm like, yes, my podcast is in a cool new home, as well as all the other cool homes where it hangs out. So welcome if you are new to this podcast. When I was tuning into the number 150, what I was reminded of was the podcast I made at episode 100 that I titled The First 100 Days. So if you haven't heard that one, I invite you maybe to pause now and go back to that podcast, because it's setting up the energy or the understanding of what I'm going to share next, and it will inform the vibration that I'm going to be bringing through. So if you haven't heard it, pause this one, go back to that one, and then come back here when you're ready. Because the way I explained the feeling, the home that is Gaia's Love podcast, was very clear and understandable and comprehensive in that episode, and it definitely brings value to what I'm going to be sharing. All right, so what I am going to talk about in this 150th episode, which is on the new moon in Pisces, about the subconscious and the dreamer and the mystic, is the first time I'm really publicly going to talk about my third book, which is called One Day, Gaia's Gifts. We'll see if I can get through this without crying. We'll see. I don't know. It brings up a lot of emotion, and so I'm really, really excited to be talking about it in this space. How do I want to share this? I never knew that I was an author. I didn't know that I would write books. And when I started my own business 3 years ago, the first book that came through really surprised me. And it was also such an easy transmission, and it was put together very easily and shared very easily. And it surprised me. So I wrote a second book, which I co-authored with this beautiful woman who runs an organization called Art with Intention, and she works with children on the autism spectrum. And so we co-created this beautiful A to Z children's book that is just incredible and features the artwork of these beautiful souls in human bodies. And that one was more complex to put together because it was a collaboration, of lots of energies, and landing this big idea of the autism spectrum into a physical book that tried to express that whole space of learning. So when I got the message there was another book coming right after that second one ended, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. Am I ready? I don't know. This is like a lot. And also, the message was so insistent from my own soul, from my own inner guidance, from my guides. So I resisted for a while, most of last summer, and I just kept putting it off and telling my guides I just wasn't ready yet. And as soon as school started and everybody was back in their routines, I just got this hit on the head from my guides, and they're like, now. And I knew it was going to be a collection of stories, but I wasn't quite sure how it was all fitting together. What happened that August was I would sit down in the morning and just start talking into my phone, much as I do here in the podcast. So I would meditate, create the podcast, and then I would start recording about this book. And what evolved very quickly was this collection of stories from my soul tribe, the souls with which I was birthed. When we first come into creation or existence as a soul, we are birthed with a group that I call the soul tribe. And those souls, when we come into existence, create a community that is sacred. And as we travel through our experiences, our lifetimes, our human journeys, as we evolve as souls, as infinite consciousness, we do it within this community of our tribe. There is a great book called Journey of Souls that describes this in more detail by a hypnotherapist, Dr. Michael Newton, who has since transitioned. And he describes in hypnotherapy session after session how the same consistent patterns and messages were coming through in his client sessions. So I've known this for a while, and yet sitting down to receive these stories from these infinite souls that I know in this consciousness way and trying to translate it into human stories was taxing for me. It was a challenge. It took a lot of focus and precision in the way that the stories were coming through. And so I did one story per day for 2 weeks, and then recorded them into my phone, and then went on this trip at the end of that journey. At the end of that experience, I closed all that off in my mind and my heart, just put it into my phone and onto my computer. And then I had a week scheduled. As Star shakes it off over here. I put it all to the side and I went away for a week with my friends that I've talked about before in September to the trees. And then when I came back, there was a lot of cleaning up and work happening in my relationships, and so the book was put on hold. It sat there until November, and then I started to transcribe those audios and then slowly put them into a document. And that book was completed and then birthed at the new moon in December. And then I put it to the side again. I haven't talked about it. I haven't promoted it. I haven't even written the web page about it. It's just been this beautiful, energetic baby that has been sitting, waiting until the right time. And so the right time is now, and I am going to read to you the first 2 chapters that are fairly short to give you an introduction of what this book is about and the energy that it is transmitting into the world. The stories that are shared in each of those 14 chapters are about portals of energy that are anchored into the vibration of Earth, some in specific physical places around the world, some in energetic spaces. And what I am stepping into in my next phase of my journey, what this new moon in Pisces is opening up for me, the bigger platform I'm moving towards, is traveling the world and locating those specific energy portals and then sharing them, talking about them, inviting people to come and access the energy there and expand the energy. And it is going to be the grandest adventure that I've ever had in any lifetime. And it has taken so much attention and focus and clearing and work for me to arrive at this point to be ready to do that. So I share all of this to offer you an example of how unknown the mystery is of our human journeys, and yet how precisely and powerfully the soul guides those journeys. And at this new moon in Pisces, allow the soul to talk a little louder to you, to be a more clear guide than your mind, to really whisper and nudge to you in ways that you perhaps haven't allowed your soul to access in your human journey yet. Trust it, because what you can open up, what you can allow to flow into your human journey will exceed your wildest dreams in the most incredible, magical ways. It is the stuff of which dreams are made of, because the dreams are where our subconscious, our soul, is trying to show us the possibilities. At this new moon in Pisces, create some time and space and tap into that and trust the dreams that are showing themselves to you. Trust the specific next steps that are guiding you forward. And know it's magical. It's magical. So, I share with you the first 2 chapters of One Day, Gaia's Gifts. And I will, I will read it to you. Introductions, page 11. Gaia. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Gaia. You may be more familiar with my human nickname of Earth. In the galaxy, I am known as the tiny blue planet that can, or Earth School. I am consciousness in form. An idea created by the Gaia Timekeeper Soul Tribe in the moment when my atmosphere was sealed, holding in all that would be created within my space. Over the course of history, I have experimented with the elements to determine the optimal combination for infinite sustainability. We are arriving at that moment. What many are calling the event. What others know of as the Great Transition or the Great Change. Mythical stories have been written about this arrival at a threshold when the Maya, the veil of illusion, drops, and all remember. I invite you to see me through a new lens as you read these stories and receive the energetic activations in your consciousness. You will not be the same at the end of our journey through One Day Gaia's Gifts, and yet I continue to meet you in each moment of your awakening with the greatest of love and gratitude. Gaia. The Gaia Timekeepers. We are a soul tribe of 14, birthed into existence through the consciousness of Ong Namo. Our intention as we were formed was to play with time, space, and the density of matter, and we were gifted with this beautiful tiny blue planet known as Gaia. We arrive here now, in this moment of consciousness, with our unique stories, each one anchoring an energy vortex into the consciousness of Gaia, gifts awaiting your arrival and unsealing. As with all stories told by master storytellers, we found our own stories and lives woven into the thread of the tapestries. Savor your sacred journey through Gaia's gifts and delight in your remembering of all. In reverent celebration, Gaia's Timekeepers. Humanity. In your seeing or hearing of these words, you are part of the collective consciousness of humanity, souls in human bodies on this planet of Earth. Each individual soul chose this incarnation with full awareness that we would be witnessing and co-creating Gaia's great transition. What we have not remembered yet is that part of that agreement was to also forget the agreement. Let me read that again. What we have not remembered yet is that part of that agreement was to also forget the agreement until the time came to remember. It is time now. As humanity awakens rapidly, each soul chooses their next adventure. Whether that is staying in the atmosphere of Gaia and co-creating a new experience here based fully on love, or whether that choice leads the soul to other planets or thought forms, all are perfect, and all are already unfolding. Simply surrender to your soul's infinite wisdom and trust that all is well, always, even in what may appear to be the most desperate and dense of times. It is darkest before the dawn, and we are at the moment when the sun rises on the horizon, bringing light to all. And Source. I am light. I am sound. I am breath. I am the one. Of course, this is what makes me cry. I am the one from which all originate, and the one to which all return. And in between, I am you. I am me. I am love. Chapter 2 is called The Invitation. There are times in our lives where we know that magic is happening. We are connected to the divine wisdom within and aware of the universal energy field that sits around each one of us. We are awake, seeking, curiously, perhaps cautiously anticipating all that is arriving next, with no idea of where the journey is taking us. That is the space I sit in as I begin scribing this book, Gaia's Gifts. I have a few framework pieces that have come through in my meditation time, but the content, the gifts Gaia is going to share with us, the grid that is being revealed, is a complete mystery to me in this moment. And yet I begin with my first step, sitting in my blue chair in my bedroom, phone in hand, crystals on my lap, muscle testing each word, smiling at the absurd beauty of the process. So excited to discover Gaia's gifts. Will you join me in this adventure that we are co-creating together? That is the vibration of one day Gaia's gifts. And it was not time to share it until right in this moment. So I offer it to you as an energy, as a feeling to guide you into this new moon in Pisces. Open up to the possibilities of magic that you know exists, but you're not quite sure what it is yet. Trust your soul's guidance. It is so good. Thank you for tuning in to today's vibration. Let's take this message of pure love out into all of our communities and continue expanding love here on Gaia. So much love from my heart to yours.